both teams looking to get back into the win column. Syracuse dropping their previous game to Georgia Tech. They actually were outscored 21-10 in that fourth frame. And the Blue Devils losing to rival in UNC. After a tough start offensively, we'll see if they have a better start offensively in this game. They only had their season low at 5 points in the first frame.
Yeah, it was definitely a slow game, being 21-21 at half. So I expect them at home to shoot the ball a little better.
And how about that? Q's on the board first. Hyman with a nice three.
We talk about 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆, but Hyman is also a great scorer for this team.
See the Duke starting five there. Not much has changed within conference play. Plus Taylor. Olympic scorer of her own. Gets an early look, but can't connect at the 15-footer. Syracuse, this is their sixth consecutive starting five rotation. A couple of players that have been very good as far as just putting everything together. Their inside presence, as you can see here, right on cue. So a 3-on-1 in, and then they come back with a nice interior look as well.
And we talked to Coach Jack about Dariana Lewis and her emergence and just her confidence and what she's been able to do for the Syracuse team. So I'm not surprised to see her, aggressive early on.
Kennedy Brown had a nice dish outside for the three, can't connect there. So the Orange with an early 5-0 start. That's another thing for Syracuse, knocking down shots, but also for Duke, preventing, if they can't make a shot, they can't get in their press as well.
Exactly. I think that's something they talked about in the Carolina game, is when the ball isn't going in, they need to rely on their defense and get back to the defensive team that they have been all season.
Wood mishandles it a bit. An O board for Syracuse, something that they are good at. Top in the conference, might I add, and a turnover at the top of the key. Hyman didn't like her look at the top, so she'll send it out. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 behind the back. Hyman pull up off glass. And a bit off on the shot.
That's going to be the challenge for this Duke defense, is keeping those Syracuse guards out of the paint. And here you see Lewis moving without the ball, has the nice reverse layup against the size of Kennedy Brown. Great finish.
Coach is really impressed with how she's been able to perform. You asked her what was so different. If that one sails out of bounds, the Orange will get it back. We'll see if Duke will be able to set up in their full court press, but she gave us a few players that she was very impressed with, Lewis being one of them in their last couple of games. Even though they haven't seen the wins come from it, very excited about how her team has been able to gel in the last few. Hyman breaks the press, sends it to Lewis. Lewis can't connect. A rebound. Another O board goes to Wood, but that's stripped away by Taylor. Taylor hesitates. Balogun.
I think Celeste could have took that one all the way to the basket.
A little bit of hesitation there, but Kara Lawson, as you can see, third season as Duke head coach. After a few years where they struggled and we didn't see them in NCAA. Now, sitting at the top of the ACC, just suffered their first loss in conference play, so the last ACC team with the loss. And so just trying to bounce back, as you alluded to, just what she wants to see from this team and how they've grown even from years past. 11 transfers that we've seen from this group as well. But she said this is a new team. 5 of the 10 rotational players weren't here last year. Right. So how they're going to try and come back and really establish what they want to be going forward. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 knows what she wants to be going forward, and she will pour it in.
Do not want to give her too many uncontested shots.
So Syracuse, 7-0. We have to revisit that very slow start that we saw Duke at UNC, and now the lid is off the cup, and Duke is on the board.
Jay Wilson getting to her sweet spot. That pull-up jumper from her just looks so confident, so smooth.
As you mentioned, at her season high 24, but a quick response from the Orange.
You can see the energy from this Syracuse group. They are fired up, aggressive early. The pace of this game is fast.
And now we're seeing that offense that we were alluding to earlier. That one almost poked away by 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆.
Coach Jack mentioned that she wanted her team to be composed and do a good job at being able to handle the Duke press. And so far, things a little sloppy at times, but they've done a good job.
Well, that's their first turnover at the top of the key, but we'll go back to 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 doing 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 things. Just like your shot, Jazz.
I do love the pull-up.
You can see her over the season averaging about 8 points per game, and how she stood out. 24 points. Another turnover for Duke. Leads to 2 on the other side for the Orange. It's the 3rd turnover for the Blue Devils. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 working her way inside, dishes it off. Oliver can't connect, and that just falls off the tip of the hands of 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆. 𝗿𝗲𝗱 has been all over the floor, a very balanced player for the Orange, averaging about 10 points per game, but rebounds, she's been really consistent, averaging about 4. Really good at getting her hand on the ball in that department.
When I talked to Coach Jack last week about her, she's actually their defensive captain. She really loves the defensive side of the ball and keeps them organized in that area.
Celeste Taylor with a nice look on the inside. We said we wanted to see more from her. Those are easy ways to get the looks.
Yeah, just to be aggressive, you know, take the shots and the opportunities that she has. But like I said, it's that competitiveness. When she's fired up, the team feeds off of that.
Off the mark. Quick look on the inside. Wanted some contact there, but nothing there. Slows things down at the top of the key. It's another thing for Syracuse, one of the quicker teams in as far as offense in the league, but can also in their half-court set be very efficient at each level.
Yeah, they have guards that can create their own shot, so getting them in the half-court, while they like to play with pace, they're still able to score in the half-court.
Short shot clock. 𝗿𝗲𝗱 once again off the tip of her finger, so Duke will get the ball back after the break, but not before we can talk about getting your hard hat. We'll talk about a couple of the Orange who have done just that through the season.
Gatorade Fit.
That's what it comes down to, and you can see a few players for the Orange that have done just that.
Yeah, I love that. I think it gives your team a different focus. Instead of the things that are publicly seen, there's a way to impact the game that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So you can still feel good about how you're playing and how you're making your team better.
Blue-collar worker, coach says, in quotes, came to work and did their job. We always talk about that blue-collar player just does all the little things, but more importantly, I like the way it's designed. You see the little rhinestones on there. I like it. The bling is nice. Shot off the mark for Hyman as Syracuse has the 11-6 lead. Tried addition underneath for 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆, and that's the 4th turnover for Duke. 𝗿𝗲𝗱 bumped a little bit, was trying to get it out to Hyman. It's been a little messy from both sides, trying to get the ball with some type of consistency.
I think both teams just trying to speed up the other team on the defensive end and make them play fast, so you're seeing a little bit of sloppiness.
I think it was a great question that you even posed to Coach Jack about how do you create that pace while also staying contained? Like, what does that look like for Syracuse at this point?
I mean, that's also something she talked about, just in the difference between their win streak and, you know, dropping 2 games in a row is just staying locked into themselves, to their principles, to their discipline. And she had noted that she felt sometimes they did play too fast.
And mentioned, is dropping the last two. Their previous three, though, they took down Pitt, Clemson, and Boston College. Two of those were on the road, so this is a team that has definitely been able to bounce back in a lot of different ways from last year. Duke with another turnover, that's their 5th of the game, and another board for Syracuse. Can't connect on that, so that's the next step. They get the boards. They're leading the conference at about 15, but how they really connect on those second chance points. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 with the mid-range.
She has been great off the bench all season for the Blue Devils. She's just a steady, great decision-making guard. I really enjoy watching her play.
Makes it a one-possession game for the Blue Devils. Less than 2 minutes to play here in the first quarter. We talked about the pace. We've seen it go back and forth. Syracuse with the hot start. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 continues to get even hotter.
Just getting to that sweet spot. I mean, the challenge is to keep her out of the paint. We know how great of a scorer she is, so that is going to be a challenge all game for the Blue Devils.
Talked about the backcourt, 9 points between Hyman and Fair.
Yeah, a little shake and bake to the elbow jumper.
And that is hot grease if you're talking about the shake and bake, because she can definitely lay it down.
She really can.
Over 2,400 points in her career. Averaged 20 points for 3 years. And Buffalo as well.
And that's just in 4 years. That's not, you know, that looks like a 5th year.
Right.
Total.
I think I had 20 points all together. As Duke makes it a one-possession game once again. And a turnover, or actually a travel, which will be another turnover. So Syracuse having a struggle taking care of the ball. Saturdays are for college basketball on ACC Network and the ESPN app. This week we have a quadruple header starting at 1 Eastern with NC State and Wake Forest. Then Kyle Filipowski leads Duke against Georgia Tech, followed by Hunter Tyson and number 19 Clemson taking on Florida State. The day is capped off by Syracuse and Virginia Tech. Should be a great one. You can always watch everything on the ACC Network, all of the platforms that you can look for. Less than a minute to play here in the first quarter. We've seen the pace pick up drastically for Duke. Another slow start as there's a foul that's going to be committed against the Orange. So Sanaya Wilson picks up her first foul. A couple of substitutions for Syracuse. Fair takes a quick break. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 takes the ball out. Jackson pulls up, short. Bounces around a little bit before it finds the hands of Elena Rice. Now a 10-second difference between game and shot clock. Hyman will slow things down. We already mentioned Hyman with a quick start. She has 5 points, leading her team 2 for 6 from the field. Working the baseline against 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆. Woolley, back iron. Another board. Some stoppage of play. This is going to go against the Orange. They had a good opportunity after that board to have the last shot.
Exactly. Just a little bit of a moving screen. I guess didn't give her enough time to see the screen before she ran into it.
Last second shot at the top of the key, just short. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 could knock it down, but a much better start for Duke, even though Syracuse has the 5-point advantage after the first frame.
New customers get our best deals on all smartphones.
That's right, but what if I'm already a customer? Oh, no problem. Hey.
Mentioned coming into this game, playing against another matchup, is wanting to make quicker decisions, purposeful cuts and movements, and I think that's something that they can just settle down and do better at.
Syracuse has scored 6 points off of those turnovers as well, as they get the ball back to start the second frame. And right out of the gate, get the bucket.
We've seen a few mid-range shots for Syracuse go in. I think the emphasis is obviously to keep them out of the paint, but, you know, they need to contest shots better.
Jesus had a nice look at the rim off the glass. Couldn't connect, so we have a jump ball. This will stay with Duke. They'll get it underneath.
I think so far when you see these two teams coming off of the loss coming into this game, the urgency looks more to be won by Syracuse. They look confident, they look assertive in the decisions that they're making, the shots that they're taking. They really look like they're playing their basketball.
Looks like they're starting to trust the process, as Coach Jack has alluded to us, as Duke now getting a number of O boards. Rice tried to run out in the passing lane, misses it. 𝗿𝗃𝗍𝗃 off the glass. 𝗿𝗃𝗍𝗃 with a slow start. A turnover at the top of the key. We'll see if they can convert. A foul is assessed. And that one will go against Hyman.
Great hustle by 𝗿𝗃𝗍𝗃 after the miss to get the ball back and put her teammate in a position to knock down some free throws.
These are the first free throws for Duke. Gets it down, the first free throws of the ball game. Knocks down the pair. So you can see the trap coming for Duke. That was something that coach was really scared about, and just that, it can be suffocating when you go into those traps against Duke.
And Hyman got herself in trouble. She dribbled right into the worst spot that you can dribble on the floor, right over the half-court line. She had nowhere to go.
Good miscue for the Orange. That's the good thing that comes out of that, though, is when you turn the ball over and it's a dead ball turnover, you're able to set back up. Fair checks back in for Woolley. And how about that?
Day Wilson still hot from the three-point line off of last game.
5 points already for Cheyenne Day Wilson. And a quick response on the other side by Asia Strong. She was held scoreless in the previous game against Georgia Tech. So player that can come off the bench and add some length as well as physicality in the paint, as you can see on the inside. Nice dish underneath, rolls right out. As Reagan Richardson is able to knock it off the leg of the Orange.
Syracuse just left her wide open, and of course she is going to knock down that triple every time.
Her 19th three of the season. You already mentioned her coming off 24 points. She had 3 threes in the previous game, so she definitely has a range, as there's another jump ball that is assessed. This one will go back to Syracuse. Checks in the ball game for Syracuse. We saw a couple of substitutions for the Orange. Syracuse with a 4-point lead, less than 8 minutes to play in the second. They had the hot start, as we were talking about, wanting to see if Duke was going to have a better response. It only took them 3 minutes to get on the board instead of 5, in which we saw, actually 6, in which we saw in the previous game against North Carolina. Hyman asking for the screen at the top of the key by Lewis. Instead, she avoids it and is able to draw the foul. That one's going to go against Reagan Richardson. That's her first personal foul. seeing how Hyman has been able to adjust to a new role in this season as well. One of the only starter returning for Syracuse, but was in that 2-guard spot and now primarily at the top of the key as the ball handler.
Yeah, and playing extended minutes at that position and doing really well.
How about Elena Rice? She's now leading all scorers with 7.
I like the shots that Syracuse are getting. They're not forced. Everyone's touching it. They have like a good chemistry going. Here, penetration by Hyman. Attacks the nail, kicks it for the open 3 for Rice.
I think you can talk about just how each role has to be filled. A new team, new faces on the roster with only 4 players returning. She had 7 transfers that came in for Syracuse. So how is it going to gel? We have Hyman, one of those players that was a standout in last season, knowing when and where to get the team involved, almost on cue, but can't connect with.
That would have been a pretty play.
Right. That's the 6th turnover for the Orange. Celeste Taylor switches hands. That was a nice finish.
Same foot lay-in. Nice.
She now has 4 points.
Could definitely help her to get some more of that. Just out in the open floor, get some easy buckets and, you know, get some points under her and just kind of feel good and shake off the last game. And this is just a new game.
Especially 5 points off of the turnovers. We're seeing a little bit more of that from Duke. Short shot clock, 3. Rice once again, that one's well short. Fair tried to slow down Celeste Taylor at the top of the key. Day Wilson sends it over. Celeste Taylor can't knock it down. Another board goes to Duke. And that one's just gonna sail out of bounds. We were trying to see if it was tipped, and it indeed is. So Duke will get it back.
Off the steal. Here you see Celeste Taylor doing what she does best, coast to coast and transition for the easy lay.
Easy? You're gonna say that's easy?
I mean, it was crafty, but pretty much uncontested when she got to the rim.
Celeste Taylor averaging 12 points per game, the team's leading scorer as we have a substitution. Jordan Richardson taking a seat. Day Wilson getting to her spot on the floor and knocks it down. She now has 7 points. We've seen a couple of miscues for Syracuse off of made buckets when we've seen Duke in their full court press, but so far they've been able to handle it the majority of the day. Short on the shot by Rice. Taylor assessing the floor. Sends it to Day Wilson, left alone. Once again, bad idea. Day Wilson with 10 points, the only player in double figures.
You're seeing this game kind of take a shift just from the defense. Duke is getting stops now. They're getting out in transition. They're playing more of their style of basketball, and you can see the comfort, the intensity just pick up.
Rice had to fight for that look underneath, gets it to go. She now has 9.
Now that was a tough basket.
That was tough. Seeing that pace, Celeste Taylor short on the mid-range shot. Can't say perfect without Cheyenne Day Wilson. So far her start, 4 for 4, already knocked down 2 threes as well. 10 points leading all scorers.
She just looks good. She looks like she's continuing right where she left off, and her great game against UNC, even though it ended as a loss. I expected her to come out here with this confidence, looking to be aggressive, and she's doing just that.
She has 10 points. The rest of the team with 12. They're 5 for 20 from the floor. On the other side, though, you're looking at what Rice has been able to do. She has 9 of their last 11 points for Syracuse, so it's been a battle. We said we wanted fast pace. We're seeing it on both sides. 2 teams that can really go. Syracuse hoping to find their footing once again in the win column after dropping their previous 2. Gray alongside Jasmine Thomas as we're less than 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Barry Wilson, Leach, Strong, and Lewis on the court for Syracuse. Short shot clock, and that sails out of bounds, as that's the 7th turnover for Syracuse. changes, no ties. Syracuse still with a 2-point lead. They outscored Duke 15-10 in the first frame. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 has found her rhythm, finds Celeste, and she's found hers.
I love how 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 is attacking closeout. She's not settling for the drive and kick shot. She's putting pressure on the defense, and there you saw her get right back into the paint and set up her teammate for a great three-point shot.
And getting to the nail, that's what every coach loves to see from their point guard. We've seen an immense amount of growth as Celeste Taylor runs the lane. Short on the shot, gets her own rebound. A tough collision underneath as well as her shoe popped off underneath.
You see the ball movement, attacking the closeout, getting a piece of the paint, kicking it out to Celeste Taylor for the three. That's great offense right there.
Just happy to see Celeste Taylor able to get up after that collision at the bottom. She was going after her own miss. Shoe came off, so she's just tightening it up a little bit.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm glad she's okay. That didn't look good.
Yeah, that was a little scary, so we know that she's tough as nails. Good to see her pop back up.
Might feel that tomorrow.
With all the resources you guys have here at Duke, that cold tub is going to be amazing, I'm sure, at about 2:30.
They really are amazing. I know I've shared some of that on social. I've been doing a lot of my rehab and recovery here.
Another turnover for Duke. That's their 9th. There's one stat that has been frustrating for both sides. It's them being able to take care of the ball.
You know, you just don't want to give possessions away. You always want to value the ball. Yeah, both teams need to tighten up in that area for sure.
Syracuse with 8, Duke with 9. Syracuse with the ball with 3 minutes to go here in the first half. Hyman behind the back. Celeste Taylor gets a hand in there. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 denied at the rim. There's blocks everywhere. It's just been a block party in Cameron Indoor at this point. We talked about the pace. We have not mentioned how physical this game is going to be as well.
There you see the help side defense and just sends it. Yeah, trading blocks. You hear trading baskets, but trading blocks. It's interesting.
Nia Heidi said, yeah, not in my home court. Not in her paint. Duke with their first lead of the ball game after their last bucket. Gets it back on the inside. No call on 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆.
I'd like to see 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 get a little bit more aggressive. She started off looking for her shot, but since hasn't really done too much. I would expect to see her to maybe be a little bit more aggressive.
Dariana Lewis underneath was begging for the ball from Fair.
And I love to see that. You know, she's leading her team, I think, with like 8 double-doubles. She has really been playing well over the last few games. You know, we talked about her emergence, and it's been significant in their success.
Hyman working the baseline. Jackson with a nice cutoff at the top of the key. Celeste Taylor going at Fair. Lewis misses everything, and Heidi with the rebound. Off the mark for 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆. They get the ball back. Celeste Taylor in the right place at the right time. Doesn't get the bucket, but will get 2 free throws.
Definitely getting rewarded for that effort, keeping that ball alive, and ending with a chance to hit 2 free throws here.
Also her first free throws of the day. Well, here's our women's college basketball quadruple header for next Sunday. Louisville, Syracuse is at noon Eastern. Then the 13th ranked Blue Devils take on Florida State, followed by the 17th ranked Tar Heels and Clemson at 4. And number 12 Virginia Tech and Virginia cap the day. Should be another great afternoon of hoops on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. We'll be on the call for the Florida State Duke ball game. That's going to be a fun one.
It will be. You know, maybe they'll allow us to have a little bias and make it a little fun.
We'll find a way.
Got to make a bet on that.
Duke with their biggest lead of the ball game, now up 3 after those 2 free throws knocked down. Duke on a 12-2 run. You said it was getting done by defense. I would say converting off of the turnovers as well. Off the mark for fair. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 with the rebound.
You could just see the intensity change. Woo. A nice find.
𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 left all alone and made them pay. 4 points.
You love when your big rim runs and gets ahead of the defense, and 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 just finds it for the wide open lay-in.
Less than a minute to play. And a foul is going to be called against Celeste Taylor.
𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 keeps her head up, finds her teammate 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 in transition for the lay-in.
But I like what you said, coming from a point guard, head up, understanding when and where. That's how you
delivered it
become efficient.
On target. She didn't have to reach for it. She just was able to turn and lay it in.
Rice asking for the screen on the side of the floor. Didn't like her look to Wilson. Skips it cross court. Hyman at the top of the key. Really working to get to her shot. Back iron. 𝗿𝗲𝗆 has been all over the boards.
And at the start of the game, you saw Duke giving up some of those mid-range shots uncontested. So that was a great job by 𝗿𝗲𝗆 to stay in front and make that a tough shot.
You can see Duke right now turning down good shots for better shots. A couple of players like the look they had, but have 10 seconds left in this half, so we'll look for the last shot. 𝗿𝗲𝗆 dishes it off to 𝗿𝗏𝗍𝗠, and she gets fouled. Actually, they're going to call a travel here.
Got herself turned around a bit. I feel like if she would have been able to catch that square and come down on 2 feet, that maybe that would have been a call the other way, but you see she's already turning and shuffling her feet.
Interesting in her landing spot as well. So
I know, it could have gone both ways. I think if she would have just landed square instead of already turning.
Travel. That one goes against Rice. That's the 10th of the half for the Orange.
Another opportunity to have had the last shot of the quarter. And, I don't know, just moving a little too fast.
Taylor, very close to knocking that one down, but couldn't get it. So Duke ended on a 14-2 run. Syracuse looking to fine-tune some things on the offensive end. We'll send it to our people, Drew Carter and Ivory Latta in the studio, breaking it down.
What's up, Angel? Great first half.
Was one and the 4th time that it's been done. So something where coming into this game, they knew how good this defense was for Duke, but how they countered.
Yeah. I think just by being composed, you know, they turned the ball over a little bit. They started to settle for, you know, got a little rattled. Once the game settled in, they weren't getting the shots that they wanted. So I think just more composure for Syracuse will help them this half.
And right out of the gate, Duke is on the board. You can see the star watch. We came into the game talking about the prolific scorer in 𝗿𝗲𝗆𝗆 for Syracuse, held to 4 points, and those were all in the first quarter.
And that's credit to Duke's defense, but also I think she could look to be more aggressive. She was really trying to get her teammates involved, which is an emphasis for her this season. She's done a great job at facilitating as well, but I think you gotta look for her to get more drives to the basket like that.
Couldn't connect there, and on the other side, we talked about Day Wilson. You see her with the 10 points, as that's a turnover at the top of the key by 𝗿𝗏𝗆𝗆. But going back to that second quarter, we said Duke outscored Syracuse 19-9. Well, 15 of those points were between Celeste Taylor and Cheyenne Day-Wilson. Jasmine, we talked about how Cheyenne has been doing her work in the last few games, but Celeste Taylor is the key for them and their success.
She is. When they're able to get stops or get steals and the ball's in Celeste's hands, she gets out in the open floor, and if she's not scoring, she's getting it to her teammates to score. So Cheyenne Day-Wilson has been, some of her points have been the result of that, and then the other has just been her creating her own.
Well, ask and you shall receive, Jazz, because you said you wanted to see a little bit more aggression out of Fair. She's able to draw the foul there. She hasn't scored since the 1:48 mark in the first quarter. And now gets 2 free throws.
I love that she's unselfish. I love that she, you know, tries to get her teammates involved. She tries to let the game come to her, but she truly is a terrific scorer. So I think if she puts her mind to it and she wants to be more aggressive, it will be challenging because this defense is going to challenge her, but I think absolutely she can score some more in this half.
She has the eyes of the entire nation, the Woodard Award preseason top 50, and was voted as the ACC newcomer as well. But we'll get into who you think that ACC newcomer is coming into this league. Florida State has a freshman that has been on fire. Balogun gets the rebound, doesn't like the spin, and so she's fouled. That one's going to go against Mariana Lewis. That's going to be her second. So Lewis picks up her second. She'll take a seat. Knocks down the first. And all right, we've seen some amazing fans across the ACC, and now we need your help. This winter, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective, so snap a pic to take video, tag it with hashtag #AllTheDevotion. And post it to your social. You just might see it on the ACC Network. I don't know, Jasmine and I have already tried this. We really want to see if this is going to work. We want to make sure that we're on the ACC Network too, right?
We want to post one? Hashtag all.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We'll do it at another time. Oh, look at this. That would be a great hashtag, #AllTheDevotion right there. Start them early, right?
Yeah.
You keep reaching?
It was very cute. It was very nice. What a great baby just sleeping through this game.
Balogun is able to pick up the steal underneath. That's the 11th turnover for the Orange. They got 10 in the first half. Celeste, I tell you what, Day-Wilson doesn't need much day because she has been so impressive in these last few games, Jess.
She really has, and just today, just her composure. She's not getting sped up. She's taking the shots and making the decisions that she wants to make and dictating what she wants to do.
Emily's been off the mark. She's 1 for 3, 0 for 2 from distance. And that one bounces around. And that one's able to go down.
And that's what they want to do. Turn their defense and the offense, push the pace. They're really comfortable right now, so Syracuse would need to score. Their best defense might be some offense right now.
Fair turned down her own shot at the top of the key. Turnover here, but Day-Wilson.
Day-Wilson with the double move, dashes along the baseline and finishes with the reverse. Then you have Celeste Taylor again in the open floor, finding Reagan in transition for the layup.
We talked about the struggle for Syracuse offensively. The last bucket came at the 5-minute mark of the second quarter. Emily comes out of the pack Fair with the ball. Bounce passes it on the inside, but a travel call against Strong.
Syracuse just can't find their rhythm to start this half.
Do you think it's more of the hesitation? We're seeing 13 turnovers already from Syracuse, not overthinking the game.
Yeah, I think that is, you don't want to make a mistake. You can feel the game kind of, the deficit opening up, so you just want to make sure you're making the right decisions, but they can't play tentative. They still have to play free. They were doing a lot of good stuff in the first half that they've gone away from.
That one popped up, sent straight to the hands of Hyman. Hyman sends it off to Fair. Fair right off the rim.
Little frustration from her right there.
Syracuse 11 for 28 from the field, shooting 37%. Celeste Taylor misses the mark, but another O board for Duke.
Duke just playing harder right now. You can see it in the intensity. Syracuse in transition had an opportunity for the 2-on-1 and just can't see the ball go through the hoop right now.
So Strong picked up her second personal foul. We see some substitutions for Syracuse. Got Rice, Wilson, Strong, Woolley, and Hyman on the floor for the Orange. Taylor, 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆, Brown, Richardson, and Dave Wilson for Duke. Brown left alone. Hyman, nice look on the inside, couldn't connect. And to your point, Jasmine, you said missed opportunities. Woolley gets a hand on that one, sends it out of bounds, and they'll be able to get set as we have a couple of substitutions now for Duke. Brown and Dave Wilson. Actually, Brown and 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 will take a seat. Dave Wilson didn't like her look at the top of the key. Taylor puts on a move, sends it over at the top of the key, and why not? 𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗃 with a nice shot at the top.
Duke doing a great job at just sharing the ball, you know, not settling for a shot and just really working to get their best shot. And there you see 𝗀𝗲𝗃 with a wide open free throw jumper.
It's been all Duke, and they've been on fire. 39-26 here in the third.
Has this ever happened to you?
How was school?
Duke with a 13-point lead, but they've gotten things done on the defensive end. You can see the opponents that they've held to 50 points or less down the list, and they're trying to see if they can do the same thing with Syracuse. They held Syracuse to 24 points in the first half. You can see they're ranked as far as points allowed, third in the nation. ACC, though, #1 team on the defensive end. And they just continue to just shine. As Fair finally hits a field goal, because that's the first field goal for Syracuse since the 5-minute mark of the second quarter.
Yeah, they've struggled to score, and she has all their points. I think they scored the 2 free throws and now that field goal.
Correct. And so for them to go through that drought, only have the 4 points for Fair, this is still a ball game. 11-point lead for Duke, but Syracuse with enough scores.
Yeah, they gotta get stops, and they gotta get stops, and they gotta get good looks at the basket.
So Celeste Taylor picks up her third personal foul. So Jackson will come in. But what an improvement for Celeste Taylor. 2 points, 1 for 6 in the previous game. And now with 9 points, he has a triple on the day and 4 rebounds to round it out.
And she's still not the most efficient from the floor today, but her impact is felt all over the floor. And that's what she does for this Duke team.
So the officials will step aside. We'll do the same. Duke's still in charge, 39-28. See the Duke faithful in the building. Oh, wait a minute, I see a Syracuse hat as well. Trying to see if their team is able to dig themselves out of this 11-point deficit. How about 𝗿𝗄𝗃 Fair? That's a good place to start. Their leading scorer, 19 points on the season. Tonight, only 8. So there have been some missed opportunities, and I know for a team that you can see coming out of the half, the emphasis has been able to get the ball inside, but they've been a little narrow-sighted on what's been evolving on the outside as well.
Yeah, we've seen some plays where they've missed her, where she could have had some easy opportunities. She's a player that averages about 17 shot attempts a game and only has 7 today. So, you know, they have to find their best player.
She's one of the 3 captains, and on cue, Jasmine says, I'm going to get back to the spot.
Making it her 20th game in double digits.
There it is. Finally enters the double figures, scoring with 10. Only had 4 points at half. And only with 6 now, she has all of their points here in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Tough look on the inside. Sanaya Wilson will be able to step up to the free throw line.
Fair with a behind the back. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 cross. Gets to her pull-up jumper at the elbow. Has all 6 points for her team in this quarter.
You can see her dad very happy about what he's been able to see. Always wears the hoodie. Her picture on there as well. Well, here's our women's college basketball quadruple header for next Sunday. Syracuse is at noon Eastern. Then the 13th ranked Blue Devils take on Florida State, followed by the 17th ranked Tar Heels and Clemson at 4. 12th ranked Virginia Tech and Virginia cap today. Should be another great afternoon of hoops on the AC Network and the ESPN app. We've seen great games throughout this year, upset after upset. Teams that we thought were going to be at the top of the ACC are in the middle of the pack. A lot of votes didn't go towards Florida State as well. You can see how they've been able to really emerge, receiving votes in the top 25.
The league is strong. I love to see it. It makes it exciting to watch.
But Duke sitting on top. Only one loss in the ACC. And, you know, you got to talk about Charlie Creme. Every time we talk about numbers, we talk about seeding, you got to mention with Charlie Creme, he does not sleep. This is what he's projected so far. You can see the seeds going down. How about Virginia, even in the conversation? They had an incredible start, had the 12-0 start after only winning 5 games last season. Notre Dame at the 2 seed. Olivia Miles, one of the most prolific point guards in not just the league, but the country.
She really is. We talk about dynamic. She does everything. And it's just been fun to watch her play, watch her grow and emerge as a leader on that team as well.
Forestdale had the matchup between Fair. They didn't get an opportunity there. Another O-board. Hyman able to draw the contact. She'll step up to the free throw line. She's also been quiet. She had 5 points in the first quarter. She's still sitting at that number as we're 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
And I love that decision to attack the closeout and put pressure on the defense, be aggressive, get to the foul line. But there is still some opportunities. You see again there where you had Fair on the wing to maybe get her some good looks. She has all their points in this quarter. Maybe you can get her kind of going a little better. I love the decision. This was, you know, a great take by Hyman, but we mentioned kind of like adjusting to that point guard role is maybe that's an opportunity to get your best scorer a wide open look.
And just like that, Syracuse is able to work their way back into this one with a 7-0 run. Just to revisit the action that we saw, it's a tale of 2 halves because the Qs, after their hot start, 7-0 start against Duke, they had the lead 22-15 in the second quarter. Duke went on a 24-4 run. They had the lead at halftime. Syracuse trying to see if they can regain. We're a little under 3 minutes to play in the third quarter.
We also have to talk about the momentum switch a little bit too, because Duke had an intensity and an urgency to them to start the half, and that has kind of settled, and they have not been able to extend the lead.
And they're searching for a bucket. They've gone 5 minutes without a field goal. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 works the baseline. 3-second call is going to go against Duke, so that's another turnover. That's their 14th of the ball game. So the drought continues for Duke offensively.
I would expect them to look to get the ball back into Day Wilson's hands and get her going again.
Day Wilson has 2 points this half. Hyman tried to rip that one in there. See a couple of orange on the floor, but this is going to go back to Duke. Another turnover. You mentioned it going back and forth. And Syracuse picks up their 15th. So right now, if the game ended, both teams would be about at their average as far as turnovers, but we still have a frame to go. And honestly, Jasmine, too, a couple of these turnovers that we're seeing are unforced.
They are. It's kind of been like that all game, you know, just kind of like casual, unforced turnovers.
We got 29 total turnovers in this ball game, 28 total made field goals, so you're not going to score without the ball. That's the graphic. On the inside, a nice look, and that ends the drought as Kennedy Brown is able to go over the right shoulder and picks up her 6th point of the ball game. Kennedy Brown with 2 seasons at Oregon State, 1 of 2 Oregon State actual transfers. As Fair doesn't get that to connect, but you need opportunities like that. Kyra Wood gets on the board for the first time in this ball game.
And that's another player that Coach Jack talked about, Kyra Wood, and what she's been able to do from an energy standpoint, from her length and being able to rebound and finish around the rim. And there you see her making an impact right there at a time where they need her to.
That previous play, Hyman picked up her 2nd personal foul. So 90 seconds to play here in the 3rd quarter. 2-possession ball game. On the inside, another look. Just a little bit too much to handle. Another turnover. We've said it throughout the ball game.
It's physical. The game's getting physical right now. You know, Duke right there probably wanting a call for a foul, but being able to just own your space and, you know, make a clean pass out to your teammate, be strong with the ball.
See both coaches up off the bench, letting the officials know how they feel. Fair at the top of the key. You see Richardson just face guarding Fair. As a nice look on the inside by Sanaya Wilson.
She worked hard for that. She was working and working to get her position on that block. They finally got her to her, and she made a nice, strong move.
It's her first field goal of the ball game as we are less than a minute to go here in the 3rd. 4-point ball game. Duke has struggled offensively. But how about that one going down for Richardson? That's her 4th point of the ball game.
And that's where they had success before, earlier, was just collapsing the defense, making the extra pass, finding the open player, making open shots.
Hyman trying to assess what she has in front of her. They'll hold for the last shot. 8 on the game clock. Stop and pop. Hyman back iron. And that will do it for the 3rd quarter. As Duke just slight Syracuse in the 3rd quarter, 14-13. So Syracuse coming back, trying to work into this deficit, made it a 2-possession ball game. This one isn't over. 15 on boards, and Wood, a big factor of that in the 3rd quarter.
And it's the little things on the road that lead to wins, those hustle plays, sacrificing your body, going for 50-50 balls. Like, those are the things that it's going to take for them to come away with a win on this floor.
Duke went the last 5 minutes only scoring 4 points in that 3rd quarter. Talk about the emergence of Syracuse as Fair is so crafty with finding her shot and getting to it. Her dad will be really not happy about the way she was able to do that.
And it's noticeable how aggressive she's being now compared to when we were talking about earlier. She was kind of just trying to feel the game, get her teammates involved. She's making a huge effort to be aggressive.
All right, well, Saturdays are for college basketball on AC Network and the ESPN app. This week we have a quadruple header starting at 1 Eastern. NC State, Wake Forest, then 𝗀𝗲𝗆𝗆 leads Duke against Georgia Tech. And then we got Clemson taking Florida State. The day is capped off by Syracuse, Virginia Tech. Should be a great afternoon of hoops, always on the ACC Network. talked about the streak of Fair with double figures, third in the ACC in scoring, and second on D1 active career leader points. We talked about her scoring over 2,400 points. They need a bunch of them in the fourth. Getting to the basket, doesn't get it to go down. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 just lost it, and they've got numbers. And they convert. Elena Rice with the bucket, and we're looking at a 2-point ball game. Correction there, that was Kyra Wood, and she now has 4. A lot of action at the top of the key. Oliver able to get it back out. Sends it to Balogun underneath, nothing there. Wood has been all over the floor. She almost came up with another board, but steps on the line, so that is gonna go back to Syracuse. You talked about the second looks, the opportunities, being in the right place. Wood has been there.
I mean, it's the hustle. You know, here you see they don't give up on the play. Ball kind of gets tipped around. They come up with it. It ends up with a basket, and you compound these plays on each other, and you have yourself in a ball game.
So that was almost put off underneath. The officials all over it have been the entire ball game. You talked about it being a WNBA crew, as we have Erin Bruton, Katu, and 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆𝘆. Another turnover, almost coughed up. Instead, they're trying to send it up to Fair, and do indeed turn it over. Just sped up a little bit too much in that possession.
And you almost saw it coming. You have Balogun with 2 deflections right away off the first 2 inbounds, and then it almost gets turned over on the sideline here, and then it ends up ultimately going back to Duke. That's a credit to their effort, to their activeness, their deflections, getting their hand on the ball.
And being dialed in, a team that has done it consistently all season. Kara Lawson talked about the dip in production as far as defense from her team in ACC play. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 said that might have been off of Hyman. That'll be the 17th turnover for the Blue Devils.
Gets along the baseline. Oh, she might be right. I don't know, saw a little tip, but I think you have to acknowledge that Syracuse has picked up their intensity on the defensive end, collapsing, recovering out when passes are being made to the open player. They really have Duke a little indecisive right now.
For this possession, they could take the lead or tie it. We haven't seen the lead since the 5-minute mark in the second quarter. That was 24-22, and Celeste Taylor gets the rebound, is just slung to the ground. There will indeed be a foul called. So Sanaya Wilson picks up her first. We'll go back to that look.
It's a great rebound. She just has 3 bodies surrounding her. Like I said earlier, the game is physical. Coach Lawson is making sure her opinion is heard.
I mean, at the beginning, the middle, and the end, just wanting that foul called at some point in that possession. She indeed gets it. So the team has a 2-point lead, less than 8 to go in the ball game. Oliver pulls up, gets it to go. That's her first field goal of the ball game.
And a much-needed bucket at that point, at this point in the game.
Talked about building on your runs. Celeste Taylor able to get a nice look on the board. She has the matchup against Fair.
The matchup you would expect to see. She is the best defender on this Duke team.
Off the back iron, Fair. Duke doesn't have numbers. Celeste Taylor is going to pull this one out.
𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 has been quiet this half. She's shot the ball well today. Has had a great offensive game. Interesting to see what she does here in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 only has 2 points in this second half after she left the first half with 10 points. But Oliver getting to her spot on the floor. Spent 2 years at Baylor. Had the Achilles injury that prevented her from playing as well. Ranks 15th nationally in assist to turnover, though. Just one of those players that she makes some magic happen with the ball, as so does 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆. And she now has 8 points.
She really does. Oliver is a great facilitating player. Doesn't look to score too much. She's absolutely capable of doing that, but she gets the ball where it needs to go at the right time.
And I love her length as well. 5'10", out of Prosper, Texas.
Gets the fake, penetrates baseline, finds 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗆 in the paint for the short jumper.
And always up. Just knows when and where. That's the indicator for a great, not point guard, but just
playmaking.
High IQ, yeah. Here with 12 points on the ball game. Dishes it on the inside. That was almost blocked. Instead, a foul will be called, so Duke fans not too pleased with that call. I don't know, they may have
a bit of contact on the arm there across her body, but
so Sanaya Wilson step up to the free throw line. Hasn't scored yet in this ball game. Still over. This was actually her first attempt from the free throw line. Hasn't really attempted anything from the field as well. Five recent games has been held scoreless and now knocks down the first point of the ball game. So still, Jasmine, here we are with Syracuse trying to work their way back. They have a 5-point deficit. Duke has been doing a great job of, even in their spells of the scoring drought, doing things well on the defensive end.
Which is exactly what they wanted to take away from that Carolina game. Is even when they're not scoring, they still need to be locked in defensively, able to get stops and have an impact on that end.
A little bit of the two-man game between Fair and Hyman, trying to work the top of the key. 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 switched out on Hyman. Asking to clear it out. Gets to the middle of the paint. That's blocked by 𝗿𝗲𝗄. Kennedy Brown gets the rebound. Another situation of a lot of contact. Instead, it's going to be called a jump ball. Stays in the hands of Duke.
It's a few times now you see Syracuse consistently crowding the rebounder. If they were able to, get a few of those out quickly, they would have some easy points in transition.
I'm more entertained now by how Kara Lawson is just losing it on the sideline with each call here. We're just happy that this is a great ball game. Two great teams coming into this one. Syracuse entering with their ACC play at 500, and Duke trying to avoid going back-to-back games, losing in conference play. Tisha Hyman picks up her third personal foul. Only other player in a little bit of foul trouble for Syracuse is Strong with 3. So that really hasn't been a worry. I don't want to speak too soon in this ball game. Celeste Taylor doesn't like the look. And the foul is assessed.
I talked about Day Wilson being quiet in this half, but we also haven't seen much of Rice from Syracuse, who had a strong first half. I believe she had all 9 of her points in the first half.
Yes. Lee picks up the foul, and how about that look? Richardson with a nice kiss off the glass picks up her 6th point.
It's a great baseline out of bounds execution, getting your shooter into the sweet soft spot of the defense for a wide open just bank shot.
Richardson, sophomore out of Charlotte, North Carolina. She played her freshman season at UGA. Played 29 games and now finding a home here with Duke. Fair just has not been able to knock down the shot. These are the looks that she's usually knocking down.
Yeah, some days the ball just doesn't go in, but she has to stay aggressive.
talked about her scoring double figures in all 19 games, now 20. She has 9 games with 20 points or more this season. Another foul assessed against Syracuse, so back-to-back possessions where Syracuse has fouled Duke. And Duke is trying to hold on to this lead. We're heading into the final stretch as they have the 7-point lead over the Orange.
Gatorade Fit.
4:18 left in this ball game. Duke with a 7-point lead over Syracuse. A couple of the stars that we mentioned coming into this ball game that had a standout first half. Cheyenne Wilson and Celeste Taylor. They had 15 of the 19 points in the second quarter. They had 2 in the third. How about being held scoreless in the fourth? So other players having to step up for Duke. But that's exactly what plays into the thought of Kara Lawson just going so deep in her bench.
Yeah, they usually do it by committee. You know, they're not typically playing through any one player. And I would say just them having 0 in the fourth, it's not necessarily just about looking to score.
Yep.
You know, I feel like it's just, it hasn't by design kind of gone into their hands in scoring situations, but I would look for them to be aggressive here to close the game.
Absolutely, you can see how it's being done by committee, as you mentioned. 32 points on average coming from the bench. On ACC play, though, about 15. Balogun missed that free throw at the top, but Celeste Taylor has her back and is able to get a steal. That's the 17th turnover for the Orange. We've been back and forth with how both teams have struggled with taking care of the ball in this ball game. Jay Wilson finds Balogun at the baseline. Richardson, beautiful touch pass outside and gets the N1 to Balogun.
That truly was a beautiful pass. Just kind of thread the needle right there.
So Balogun now with 10 points.
Attacks the baseline, defense comes over, finds her big under the basket for the N1.
Now the second Duke player with double figures. We have some stoppage of play. We'll have a substitution that's called in by Eric Bruton. Well, every Thursday at 10 Eastern right here, after our women's basketball doubleheader, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the night in the ACC with highlights and analysis of every women's game. And look ahead at the best games on the schedule in the coming week. That's coverage you can only get one place, right here on the AC Network and the ESPN app. So an empty possession for Duke there. How about Dave Wilson? They're just playing face-up defense before the ball is even given to Syracuse out of bounds. Fair gets it. And even with the turnovers, honestly, Syracuse has taken care of the ball within, just trying to break the full court press from Duke. It's just been the other turnovers, the careless turnovers underneath, that have been the problem. Is a nice look on the inside. That one going to Elena Rice.
I was just talking about her. She had such a great first half.
11 points, so 2 players now for Syracuse are in double figures. Her and Fair. May Wilson with the retreat dribble. Touch pass. Duke really working the ball well. 5 left on the shot clock. Jay Wilson short. Fair with the rebound.
That was such great ball movement. You almost wanted to see that shot go in.
Rice gets another crack at it and drains it. Still a 2-possession ball game. 2:37 left in this one. We've seen it go both ways. This should be a fun finish.
Instacart shoppers know your.
Just a 2-possession game. Syracuse still down 46-51 against Duke, but Elena Rice has been the bright spot for Syracuse. Last year, she only averaged 4 points and 4 rebounds. Now she's leading this team in scoring for this ball game.
And she's really done it all game. She had a quiet little moment, but now here she is hitting the baseline jumper. She's really been scoring the ball well today.
So we've seen it kind of spread out. You can see her with the 13 points. She's been very efficient from the field as well, but It's very telling, too. We wanted to see even more what we were going to see from Hyman. She had the 5 points in the first half, only 2 in the second. And so if one person doesn't show up, you have to make sure the next does. Rice has been that player for the Orange.
Yeah, I just think in moments, honestly, both teams have not been able to find like a true rhythm and a flow.
Right.
You know, we had talked about even when things looked like they were going well, then there'd be back-to-back turnovers or back-to-back missed shots or just, you know, not really a good rhythm to the game.
Sends it in. Another foul is assessed on the play. So if there's one thing that Duke has been able to do is apply pressure in the back line of Syracuse.
And you see Wilson just brings that hand down right across the arms of Kennedy Brown.
It's her third personal foul. Kennedy Brown can't connect.
This is another player that struggled the other night against Carolina, and the challenge is just, you know, for the veterans to step up. I believe that the response from Taylor has been great today. It's, you know, nice to see Kennedy have some takes down, layer down low, staying aggressive, getting herself to the free throw line.
And establishing herself. That's what we're seeing a little bit more of. You mentioned this, the tough night she had in the previous game against the Tar Heels. She only had the 2 free throws. As there's a turnover at the top of the key. Celeste Taylor gets it to go. And that's a nice look from Richardson, with that being the 11th point. So 3 players for Duke now in double figures.
That kind of felt like the momentum shifter right there. To get that steal, finish the 2-on-1, and get the steal right back off the inbound. A little deflating sequence of events for Syracuse.
And if that wasn't, that might be, because Celeste Taylor, a back-to-back buckets, that's going to lead to a timeout for Syracuse. Coach Jack not too thrilled about what she has seen from her squad. But you mentioned the sense of urgency, and Duke right now is continuing to build their lead. It was a 2-possession game, and now they're sitting at a 10-point lead with less than 90 seconds to go in this ball game.
Yeah, and I mean, they just did it with composure. They stuck to what they do, playing defense. There you see the momentum shifter starts with defense. You get the steal, you get out in transition, you follow it up with another steal, back-to-back buckets, and now you're at a 10-point game.
As we are approaching the last few moments of this ball game, Duke has all 4 timeouts left. Syracuse has the 1, but it comes down to who's going to be able to knock down shots for Syracuse. We saw Wood in the 3rd quarter that was really on the glass, as that's knocked back out of bounds by Richardson.
And they've had trouble inbounding against this full-court Duke press.
More of a clear out here as Rice was able to get the ball up the court. They're asking for the ball. Not much time. They need to get going. Approaching the 1-minute mark. They're working at the top of the key, short. A foul. This will stay here. They'll get the ball back underneath. Syracuse not in the bonus. Duke is in the bonus. The next foul on Duke will put Syracuse at the free throw line. 1:06 to play. Fair from the corner. Misses. And that one goes about through 2 orange hands. Celeste Taylor leaks out and gets the bucket.
Megan Richardson has really been impactful in transition in this 4th quarter. Getting the ball, looking up, making the long outlet passes, finding her teammates. She found Balagoon on the and-1. She's really made an impact in this 4th quarter.
I mean, look at how many people this goes through on the orange. I bet they want this one back, and Richardson just putting a nice bow on that one. Wilson knocks down the first of the pair. Another transfer from Buffalo. 3 games in double figures. ACC play, though, has not really put on a performance. Now she has 6 points. It's the second ACC game that she has actually scored in. She had 4 previous points against Wake Forest. She continues to find her footing here with Syracuse. Fair was trying to decide if she wanted to foul or not. Finally commits the foul. Duke in the bonus. With the amount of time that Fair's been on the court as well, it's surprising to see that that's just the first foul from Fair, and that had to be committed at the top of the key. As Day Wilson just continues to shine, knocks down another one from the free throw line. Gets them both. Hyman tries to send it up to Fair. You can't say enough about the defense at the top of the key, and Richardson with the bump. That will put Rice back on the free throw line. But the biggest question coming into this ball game was just how they were going to respond, the bounce back. And that was very interesting with Kara Lawson telling us sometimes the bounce back isn't just in a win. The bounce back is how we respond emotionally, effort-wise, and how dialed in we are defensively. Even though we saw some droughts offensively from this team and not the best start that they would want, but how they were able to work together to get to this point defensively to hold one of the best backcourts in this league and contain them pretty much all game.
Yeah, Coach Lawson wanted to see them compete, and that's exactly what they have done today.
So we'll take a look at who Duke has on the horizon, as this one is close to coming to an end. Well, this is who they have coming up next. Virginia Tech, who has been rolling in ACC play, 12th ranked on Thursday. Then we talked about the game to cap off January, and they'll have that one against Florida State, Pitt, Notre Dame, and Boston College for their last 3 out of the next 5 that they have. But I think 2 of the ones that you have circled on there, obviously, are Notre Dame and Virginia Tech, but Florida State not a team that to be taken lightly, as they're receiving votes as well. I can tell you what, too, Boston College has been really impressive, a team that upset NC State, and then the next game, even though Florida State wasn't ranked, beat them on their home floor as well.
Yeah, I think I love what they're doing there from the defensive standpoint.
Hyman picks up her 4th personal foul. It's been a struggle for her throughout this ball game. She does have 7. We mentioned she had the 5 points in the first half, only 2 in the second. And I think what's very interesting as well is just the limited amount of times that they've been able to put themselves at the free throw line. This is a very aggressive team, and only been to the free throw line 1 time for Tisha Hyman.
And it's credit to the defense to be able to be that aggressive without fouling on scoring moves by Syracuse. But also, sometimes you got to just put your head down and get there.
So that will pretty much do it, as we have a timeout that is actually called by Duke. So at 11.6 left, we talked about who Duke has. We'll go on the other side and look at who Syracuse has on the horizon as well. It doesn't get much easier for them. Virginia, they have Louisville, who has struggled throughout the season. Louisville was the preseason favorite, right ahead of NC State. Then they'll take on Virginia Tech right after that to start off February. Boston College and North Carolina will finish out their next of 5. And for Syracuse, this is a team that was trying to get back on track after winning 3 of their previous ACC games. They dropped the last 2. Will drop this one as well. A few things that you saw in them today, but also what they can build on going forward.
I mean, I liked how they started this game. They really had a nice tempo to them, a confidence to them. And then as the game settled, it's kind of what Coach Jack was talking about, needing them to play a full 40-minute game.
And that will do it as Duke will avoid being upset and takes care of business at home. They move to 17-2 and will take care of business here at Syracuse. Drops another one. We'll send it to the studio where Drew Carter and 𝗿𝗲𝗱𝘆 have been holding it down in the